Bags. Hope you guys are doing well. We're back here again with another episode of the Detox Podcast, episode 332 to be exact. If you're new here, enjoy music, podcast, comedy, or hooping videos, do consider subscribing. We've got a whole bunch of that stuff going on around here. When you do subscribe, leave a like or hang out with us in the live chat like you're going to do today. Helps us share conversations and laughs like this with more people. So do consider doing that. Now, before I can introduce you guys to my guests this week, I got to talk to you guys a little bit about vacations. It's cooling off here in the Midwest, specifically in Wisconsin, all right, and I'm sure up in the UP as well, which brings me to today's video sponsor, Alpine House 2, which is a perfect place for a well-earned or not well-earned, I don't care if you earned it or not, getaway vacation up in the UP of in Iron River, Michigan. Alpine House 2 is a classic Swiss chalet duplex A-frame with a log cabin interior located directly across the street from the ski resort in Iron River, Michigan. Surrounded by forests, lakes, rivers, obviously Iron River makes Alpine House 2 the destination for fishing, hunting, hiking, snowmobiling, and of course skiing now as we get into those months. They've been pretty consistently booked up over on Vrbo and Airbnb, but if you check them out over on their Instagram, that's at Alpine House 2 on Instagram, and tell them Darren, Rita, or Detox sent you, they will set you guys up with some great rates and get you a vacation. That's at ALPINEHAUS number 2 on Instagram. They're also linked down below, so shout out to Alpine House 2 for sponsoring another episode of the show. I mentioned this is the 332nd episode of the show. We've been doing it for a lot of weeks in a row at this point, and I wish I had our other video sponsor back when I was getting started because things would have been a heck of a lot easier. Those guys being Impulse Cameras over in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Impulse is located in Oak Creek, Wisconsin's Drexel Square, and they have everything you could possibly need for your creative projects, whether it's cameras, lights, microphones, gimbals, or even just a space to record your content. They have all of that. But they don't just have great gear. They also have extremely hardworking and talented staff that will help you get gear that's best suited for your needs at prices that actually fit your budget. If you're still not convinced, they also have super legit rental programs that allow you to get your hands on some gear before you decide to buy, as well as monthly memberships that get you exclusive discounts and access to their Discord and more. So check out at impulse.mke on Instagram or impulsecameras.com to check them out and see everything they've got going on there. You can also click the link down below and shop straight at their website there. Reach out to them, tell them Rita or Detox sent you, and they will set you guys up. So shout out to them for sponsoring another episode of the show as well. Now, with all that good stuff out of the way, we got an excellent guest here in the building. We got to give a wet Detox welcome to comedian Avery Rapier. I didn't want to say the word.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good. That's good. How are you, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you. I'm glad we were able to do it. When I was stalking your page and getting ready to do the show, I saw that you're a combat sports guy.
Yeah. More a hobbyist now than anything. I think my glory days are best behind me. But yeah, I've been doing martial arts for about 13 years now,
Wow.
and I love it. I used to compete in mixed martial arts, but now I just train and try to stay in shape and be a good teammate for my friends who have fights coming up.
So jiu-jitsu is one of those things that you were super into.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. Yeah.
All right.
It kind of goes in flows of what I'm more into in the season, and I'll get it like autistically into kickboxing for a couple months, and then get a couple of concussions and be like, hey, let's do some jiu-jitsu, and then get autistic into that, and then get bored, and so it goes back and forth.
What do you like when you were like, because you've been doing it for 13 years? Prior to that, I imagine you were probably still like an athletic, fit guy. What were you? What was like the pull, the initial draw? Like, I'm gonna give this combat shit a try.
Dude, actually, I was talking with Cody Heck, who's a comedian in Milwaukee, about this, who started doing kickboxing. But it was watching Anthony Pettis jump off the cage and kick somebody in the head, and he kicked Benson Henderson. And I remember I was at an Anytime Fitness in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, my hometown, and I was like, dang, he's from Milwaukee. Like, I remember them saying that. And then I was like, they have MMA teams, like gyms in Wisconsin. This is awesome. And so then I like looked up Rufus Sport, and then which is the gym that Anthony Pettis trained at, and then became obsessed. And I was like, dude, if a kid from Wisconsin can do this, I think I could do it too,
Wow,
and so it just inspired me, and I always liked it. Like, I always grew up watching it. Me and my buddy Cody Sievert watched like The Ultimate Fighter season 1. I'm old.
Oh, wow. All right,
so I'm 34.
Yeah.
So we were in high school when the first season of The Ultimate Fighter came out, where Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner just beat the living shit out of each other.
For people that have never seen it, maybe that was before their time. Give me the premise of The Ultimate Fighter.
So, I mean, it was just, you got to imagine, this is where, before reality TV was super oversaturated, but it was still pretty popular.
It was like the
this
prime era.
Yeah, Jersey Shore, the guy with the clock, Flavor of Love.
Sure. Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
The other one, the Osbournes.
Yeah.
So Spike TV came up with like a deal of the Ultimate Fighter. Same thing, like a bunch of fighters. I forget exactly, 20 fighters just say live in a house, and then they have to train together, coexist together, but at the end of the day only one person gets a UFC contract. So like everybody knows that. Or I'm sorry, they had two, because they had two different weight classes in the original season. So it was one person for each weight class would get a contract. So like everybody had to coexist and like be a good teammate and help each other get better, all while knowing at the end of the day is like, hey, I gotta beat you if it comes down to it. Like
I might have to kick your ass.
I have to kick it, or do my best, the best of my ability. And it was awesome. I mean, it was like unlike any drama I had ever seen before. And I didn't care about like the antics of what was going on in the house, but the martial arts and the fighting was so cool, because I always like kind of got bored in regular sports, like watching them or like playing them. I'd always like watch football games and be like, yeah, but who would beat the shit out of who if like it came down to or like basketball. I was like, but he could have fucked him up, like if and like so I just sorry, can I swear?
No, you can say anything. You can say anything.
But then so like I always kind of got bored watching that, and then I loved boxing. I loved kickboxing, and like watching all that stuff. And Pride was really big. Have you ever heard of Pride fighting?
No.
So Pride fighting was like this huge thing in like 2006, 2005, even earlier than that. That's just when I got into it. In Japan, so they would sell out the Saitama Arena in Japan, which was like 70,000 fans.
Wow, okay.
Crazy. And they would have the craziest fights. It'd be like a 7-foot tall giant versus like a 5-foot, 335-pound ninja. And like Bob Sapp, Warren Sapp's brother, he would fight like these crazy. He was a Goliath of a man.
What is the rules of this fight?
So they had no elbows, because they would stop fights because of cuts a lot. Elbows would cut you up, but you could soccer kick. So meaning if you fell down to the floor, you can get kicked in the face. You can't do that in MMA anymore, at least in America, like the unified rules. In ONE FC, you can still do soccer kicks to the face, which is pretty brutal. But it's also realistic, because like a lot of guys will kind of milk the game, and if they get taken down, they'll hang out on all fours so you can't get kicked. Where in reality, like you're very vulnerable, so I kind of like the soccer kick rule as in a purity form.
But what makes up, like, because you're saying these fights were so, like, the discrepancies between fighters were huge. How are we doing these? How are we making these matches?
I mean, it's a lot of Yakuza involvement too. So like, I'm not joking. The whole reason why Pride went under was the Yakuza's involvement. So they would bribe these people, like pay them crazy amounts of money. And then also on the clause to sign like a waiver and everything, they would say, we don't test for steroids. Like they would say that in the contract. And then like there's books and stories people have written. One guy, Ensign Inoue, who was a awesome fighter back in the day, he had this whole story about like how the Yakuza would pay him about like $400,000 per fight, because he would be their muscle and like their enforcer in like the street world of Japan. And they would pay him a fuckload of money per fight, so he wouldn't get in trouble legally to be affiliated with the Yakuza, but it'd be very under the table. It was crazy, bro. Like it was the wild, wild west. And then they ended up getting bought out by the company that owns the UFC eventually, because the Yakuza made some bad business deals, and then they had to sell it, and then they also fixed a lot of fights that like made the organization fall apart.
Do they don't exist then anymore?
Pride doesn't, but it has been reinvigorated with this organization called Ryzen, which is very similar. They do the square boxing ring instead of a cage. And they do it in the Saitama Arena in Japan as well.
Have you ever seen those the things that like I love like those random mismatch fight. Those are just as a
Crazy.
human, you're just
Yeah.
like you're watching a car crash. You
Well,
know?
it's like
you're
David and Goliath. You romanticize it, and you always like root for the little guy.
But then
or,
you
like,
see it, and you're like, oh.
most times it doesn't work out. Yeah.
No. Well, it's like, dude, you see those? I don't know if you get these on like TikTok or YouTube. It'll be like the backyard fights that these people go around and they set up like a wooden
Street
octagon.
beefs, yeah,
Dude.
Dude, one of my buddies is like a street beefs champion.
No fucking
Yeah,
way, dude.
It's nuts.
Dude,
Yeah.
I think that there has to be some marrying of comedians with that, dude. I think that would be hilarious.
Dude, yeah,
to
I
do some
always
sort of
wanted-
event.
Right. I always wanted. We had like a whole thing a couple years ago for the comedians like doing an Olympics, like
Oh my God, that'd
where
be
it's a
awesome.
whole event, like a whole bunch of athletic events, and then we were supposed to do basketball. And at the time, I was like the only physically fit comedian. Everybody else was wildly unhealthy. And then we have this guy Drew Flaggy. I'm gonna bring this up because Drew is gonna lose his mind, and one of my
We need Drew on this podcast.
Dude, you do. He is a psycho.
I want him
love
on the
Drew,
show, yeah.
but I know it's going to irritate him if I bring this up, so I have to because it's like my biggest pleasure in life is irritating Drew.
Okay, good.
But so I got picked. Drew has dedicated like his whole life to basketball,
Yeah.
and like recreationally for the most part, but like he did it in high school and all that stuff, and then he plays like in a rec league. I got picked before him. Like,
Oh, no.
because I was just in better shape, and he was furious.
Yeah,
He was so
I'm
mad.
sure.
And I think like I don't think this is why he got in shape, but Drew Flaggy has gotten in great shape
I saw him
since
recently.
then.
He
Yeah,
looked great.
he's like lost, I don't even know how many, like 60 pounds or something crazy.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a new man.
Yeah.
And I want to believe it's because I pissed him off so bad by getting picked before him in basketball.
That was his.
And
That
I
was
don't
his
know
moment.
anything about basketball. I just knew because I kept asking. I was like, "How many fouls do I get before I'm
God, you're
kicked out of the
you're a
game?"
scary dude.
And so-
You're a scary guy.
And I was like, "I get 3, okay," or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
And then I was like, "Drew, I get 3 fouls. I get," because we were on the same team. And he was like,
Yeah.
"Avery, you can't do that. You can't do that." He was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
losing his mind. It was
Yeah.
hilarious.
God, I'm happy that they only told you it was 3 because you get 5 or 6.
Oh,
depending
let's
on the
go,
league,
Drew.
so
I'm gonna
you can
fucking
hurt
kill you.
somebody.
No.
Yeah. Dude, that is scary. I played basketball in college.
Oh, sick.
surprisingly so. I maybe don't look the height.
Where'd you play?
UW Rock County in Janesville, so
Oh,
it was like
sweet.
connected
Okay.
to Whitewater and stuff like that. But so I still play a decent amount. I still train and
Sure.
play in like men's leagues, and there's always a guy that looks just like you that they bring in to the game because I'm a pretty good scorer, and they'll bring somebody in to just fuck me
be
up.
mean.
Literally just
That's
fuck me up, and I'm like, I had to put on muscle to deal with these guys. 'Cause
Right, I
they will
bet.
literally just come in and tackle you, and I'm like, all right.
So I've never actually. There was one heated game I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
Other than that, I like try to not be that guy.
Yeah.
I was just fucking with Drew
Sure,
for
yeah,
that
of
moment,
course,
you
of
know.
course, yeah,
But then like, have you ever seen the Russian basketball where they grapple with each other?
Yes.
Where it's like, so you once you throw or once you post,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they can't. Or I think that's when
Once
they
you
can
shoot, yeah,
tackle
yeah,
you.
yeah.
But while you're dribbling, they can't. And
Yeah, yeah.
dude, I would love that. That
Yeah,
sounds
you would
fun.
be good at that.
would
Yeah,
be a lot
yeah,
more-
dude.
I would always get in trouble also, like in sports in high school, because I'd get way too physical, and then I'd lose focus like third quarter because it lasts too long. Whereas like wrestling, it's like 9 minutes. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could do it. I could pay attention for 9 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm over. Then I'm done. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like always like baseball. I'd be the kid looking at.
Does it
bugs
crack
in the
you up
outfield.
when you see like because we were talking like when you're saying like when you watch regular sports and whatnot, it's hard for you to get into it because you're like, well, who could kick the shit out of who? When they do kind of start fighting,
I do love that.
Do you get like because I feel like it's got to be silly as someone who does combat sports to like look at these two guys and they're like talking shit as they're like going backwards. And
Yeah.
they're like throwing punches going backwards. Like Charles Barkley has this quote where he's like, how are you gonna throw a punch while you're moving backwards? Right? And then they roll a clip of Charles doing the same thing when he
Doing
was
the
fighting.
same thing.
NBA guys, they all want to act tough, but none of them want to fight. We don't.
No,
wanna fight.
that's true. But like, I've been saying this for years now, but I feel like if UFC guys could pay as much as the NBA, and you got a couple crazy motherfuckers, because it is like a mentality thing to want to fight, you know?
Yeah.
And like stay the course, like through damage and all that stuff
Yeah.
to be able to like get to that high level. But just like anatomy wise, I feel like MMA or basketball players are the best at combat combat athletes.
You think so?
Yeah, they're so long, so strong. They could kick you from across the cage.
They could
like,
really
dude,
fuck you up.
John Jones is like a huge guy.
How tall is he? 6'4"?
He's like 6'4", but he's like got an 87-inch reach.
Yeah.
And his brothers are in the NFL. And dude, his anatomy for combat sports, he's like built for it. So I feel like basketball and football guys, if we could figure out a way to pay them as much, and you wouldn't get as many people over because it's a harder sport. I mean, a mentally harder sport. Sure, I don't think. Yeah. Maybe tactically, I think every sport has its own things that make it hard, But I think with MMA, it's the most, in my opinion, the purest form of competition, man to man.
I can see that.
I think that it takes a certain person to be able to do.
You got to be a little crazy.
Oh yeah, I know, and that's like
a little insane.
My mom is always just like, Avery, are you doing? She's always like worried about like,
are you okay?
Yeah, but I'm like, Mom, I'm fine. I've literally been this way, like wired this way my entire life, And like, for instance, like I went, like I did a crazy bike ride to Austin.
Yeah.
And
let's get into this because this is hilarious.
I went like on a crazy bike ride to Austin, Texas, and I didn't tell my mother from Milwaukee to Austin, and I didn't tell my mom beforehand.
Jesus Christ.
I told my dad. My parents are divorced, and I told my stepdad about it, and I was just like, hey, just don't tell Mom because she's just gonna worry the entire couple weeks that I'm gone. So I called her like when I was there, and she's like thought I was having like a manic breakdown, and I was like, no, I feel great. I just didn't want you to worry for 2.5 weeks while I was like going through the middle of the country, and like just be constantly worried. And I sent Dad my location every day so he at least knew
I was alive.
I was alive and like where I was. But
okay, so you have to give us some context. Why? So we're in Milwaukee, and you rode a bike, like a bicycle. Pedaling
and I hopped on and off the Amtrak through like the Ozarks and everything because I didn't want to go through the Ozarks because it's so hilly and dense. But I did bike most of it.
Sure,
But so basically, I mean, I don't know. I guess I just...
Why? What was the reason?
I mean, it's like it's so many things, but I guess like in a nutshell, the past 5 years, like I've been doing comedy now for about 8 years. Okay. But the past 4 or 5 years, I've just had like this crazy depression, and it's been like a lot of it self-induced, and like a lot of it just like me making my own problems worse and not taking ownership for my problems, and then not dealing with my problems, and then they get even
pile
bigger,
up,
right? And then a lot of it also, like my biological father passed away and committed suicide about 5 years ago. Thank you, I appreciate that. And then that fucked me up. And then just like a failed relationship with a woman I loved, on top of like that was in the next year. So it was like Dad died, next year breakup, and then just making horrible decisions after that, and like to self-cope and everything. And then I felt for years like I basically quit comedy at certain points, like where you wouldn't see me for like over a year at a time at like Mike's, and it's like crazy because at like one point in time I'm nobody in comedy. I'm nobody, but at one point in time I had like ramping up momentum, like I was opening for like famous people in theaters and stuff like that, and it was like I was going on the road regularly. I had to file my taxes one year as a comedian, which was like the most proudest moment of my life, but then I self-sabotaged and just like drinking and crazy amounts of drugs and women and just like every deadly sin you can think of, like sloth, rage, wrath, greed, lust, like all these things were like consuming my soul. And then it went on for years, and I basically just said one day, I was like, yo, I know. So, okay, for context, everybody, like in mental health in my family, my father committed suicide, my uncle committed suicide, and my great-grandmother committed suicide. So, like, there's like a demon in our family, right? Yeah. And like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what we did in the past life, but something's going on. Okay. And, but so I knew if I kept doing these things, like my worst fear is following in my father's footsteps and not correcting. He was a brilliant guy, amazing artist, amazing musician, but he had his demons, similar demons that I have, and he never dealt with them. And I saw how that story ended, right? Yeah. And like I had created such a bad habit and like life for myself because of my habits and because of what I had made my life into. And like I would just sit there all day and like do my work, do the bare minimum at work to not get fired, and like just keep business going. But inside I was like dead. It's hard to explain, but I just like was so cold from everything.
Dull.
Yeah, it was gray for years. And it so then I don't know, I like got I've always loved bicycling. I've always in my head maybe romanticized Texas with like the cowboy lifestyle and like the outlaw. You know, I always joke with my sister, in another life I would have been a cowboy, like an outlaw in the Wild West, you know, and living my best life. And but then so I've always romanticized that. So I felt like God was like literally telling me to go to Texas. Just take your bike. I've taken my bike on like long biking trips before. This is definitely the longest one. I've gotten to like Madison and Chicago and stuff like that. But this was definitely the most buck wild one. But I felt like God was like, dude, you know how this story ends. You know what's going to happen if you continue living this way. Like the devil's going to win because you're letting them enter your home. Do you think so? It
was kind of like a reset for you, like
it was a spiritual reset. And then so I was just like, all right, fuck it, I'm going to Texas, dude. I'm going. Let's go. And so I mapped it all out. I was actually really proud of myself on how I mapped it out. And my father is my stepdad, my adoptive father, Roger, who raised me. It's hard to. I have so many different male figures, but he's my. If I say my dad, that's who I'm talking about. My birth father is the one who committed suicide, just for context for the rest of the episode. But so my dad is like a very avid outdoorsman. He like kayaked around Lake Superior. He's a beast. Like he's awesome. And so he helped me out, you know, like kind of preparing for it and like how many miles should I do each day, all that stuff. And so I mapped it all out. Basically, on average, 70 to 100 miles per day.
Jesus, man.
It was nuts.
How long is that on the bike?
About 8 to 10 hours per day. And not including rest and everything, because usually I'd rest for like 20 minutes every 2-3 hours.
When do you poop? Or do you have anything to poop?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I would definitely take a shit every time at the hotel, every morning and every night. There were a couple instances where I needed to stop by like gas stations and stuff like that, but or restaurants like just along the way. But for the most part, my bowels were like, I was super anal about I was super that was fun. But I was like super paranoid about getting sick and having indigestion, so I kept my diet very disciplined on the bike trip. Once I got to Austin, I let it all go to the wayside. But like during the trip, I was very disciplined because I like didn't want to
have something like that. What were you eating?
I mean, I was eating a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a lot of chicken sandwiches, chicken salads, stuff like that. Chicken, beef, bacon, stuff like that, but very clean. And the continental breakfast at the Holiday Inn was like my best friend. I'd like steal a loaf of bread and just put it into my bike. It was sick. But so it's like every day, bro. It was I just would start out, and I guess maybe I just was so comfortable in my life for so long, and I had instant gratification for everything. I'm one of those guys that I need to suffer immensely to be grateful. And so it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the most rewarding, and it was definitely a spiritually like rekindling thing. And I think every guy should do it, because it's like maybe not to this extreme, but like, and do something.
It sounds like it like pulled you out. Like you were in this like depressive episode to the point where you weren't even present anymore.
No,
like, you weren't even, like you said, like you kind of felt like you were like dead inside, like you weren't doing anything. It sounds like it almost forced you to be present. Like it forced you to we got to hit it. Like you literally will not be able to complete this. You would not be able, like you're having to solve these problems and suffer, as you're saying. And in doing that, it sort of like woke you up, it sounds like.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about that, but it made me pay attention to everything. And it's interesting you say that, because, okay, so the first night of my trip, literally the first night of my trip, I'm in St. Charles, Illinois. I made it from Milwaukee to like, St. Charles, Elgin. And then I like am getting into the hotel. I'm exhausted, had a long day. And I take my shoes off, and then I reset my bike. and 1 second of not paying attention with my shoes off, the kickstand slices my foot.
Jesus
Dude, first night,
Christ.
I'm not even midway through Illinois, okay? And I'm
And
like,
you just
fuck.
cut your foot open.
But it could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
Because they woke me up enough to be like, yo, you have to pay attention in every second, because like 1 second of not paying attention, it like, and you're lucky like that it just nicked you. Like it sucked. It was like painful, but it was nothing career or trip altering.
Yeah.
And then the only accident that I had the whole time, like on my bicycle, was the same thing when I was not paying attention in Oklahoma City, and I was on my way to a banjo museum.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I like
wow.
looked
Hell
across the street. I was like, oh, there it is. And then I
And
like
just-
got my foot or my tire stuck in a train track and just flipped over my handlebars. And
God damn.
got it caught on the Ray-Ban glasses though, so at least I can make content out
There
of
you
it
go.
now.
There you go. Shit, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like I feel like doing something like that, at least from what it sounds like. I didn't do this, but from what you're describing, it sounds like having to solve these unique challenges forced you to be present in a way that maybe you hadn't been in a while.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope that if you take from that trip in trying to find that presence in regular life, in everyday life, and that's probably helpful. I mean.
It has been, yeah, and it's been honestly like the best thing I've ever done for me, and honestly probably one of the only things I've done for me in recent years, you know. And I think it just, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it just was good for me to like feel. I haven't felt alive since I was like in my 20s. I'm in my mid 30s now.
Yeah.
And it just felt good to actually be excited about something, wake up with like a spiritual boner, you know, every day.
Yeah.
And
Hell
it's like
yeah.
just rock hard spiritually. It's the rules, dude. You know?
Yeah, you
And,
got to beat off spiritually,
yeah.
man. You have to do it for you sometimes. You
Sometimes.
just have to.
Sometimes.
You have
dude.
to. That's insane. So how many miles did you bike, do you think?
It was over 1,000 by the time I got done with it.
Crazy,
Yeah, it was
dude.
over.
Do you have a
1,000.
Strava?
No, I didn't have a Strava,
You
but I
shoulda
have
had a
the
Strava.
it's the app on the iPhone. The I have health one. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay, cool.
it's
Yeah.
just the one.
So
that
you
comes
got
with
it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got to flex that. At some
It was
point,
nuts.
you
It
have
was
to be
nuts.
like, look at
it
this.
was crazy, and because I didn't know if I went, because I did go through the Ozarks, but then it's like, dude, I went through Oklahoma. You know what I mean? And then I biked all the way basically down to St. Louis before I got on the train, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, you're doing a bunch. And then I died in St. Louis. Like, my body just shut down. And then I was like, we need to rest. So I rested in St. Louis. And then same thing in Kansas City. And then, dude, fell in love with Kansas City. That's like one of my favorite cities on the planet now.
Really?
And then I actually just went back this past weekend because one of my buddies was performing, doing comedy out there, and then I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna come out there. I love Kansas City. Let's hang out while we're out there." He's like, "Okay,"
Why
and then
not?
we just had a fun ass time in the town. But yeah, fell in love with Kansas City, and then made my way down to Newton, Kansas, from Kansas City. Then from Newton, Kansas, made my way down to following the Katy bike trail, to Oklahoma City. Hung out and needed to rest in Oklahoma City, and I wanted to check out the botanical gardens. They have an amazing botanical garden and an amazing cowboy museum, which
It's right
was
up your alley, yeah.
fucking sick, dude.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got to bring this up on the podcast actually now that we're talking about the cowboy museum.
Yeah.
So the Chinese, we're gonna bring up the Chinese.
The
for a little
Chinese,
bit.
yeah. What do they
Like,
got to do
so-
with cowboys?
So
Chinese
the railroads,
cowboys?
the railroads.
Oh, yeah.
So dude,
Yeah, not as fun. Not as fun.
yeah, the Chinese cowboys.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, dude, they were wild motherfuckers.
I believe
these
it.
guys. So the whole reason why they brought the Chinese in the first place is because they brought the Irish in to build the railroad system originally. And so the Irish didn't want to mess with the mountains. They didn't want to go through the mountains at all, because they knew like the repercussions, like, hey, this mountain can fall down on us, you know, and they respected the mountains.
Yeah.
The Chinese were wild,
They're
and
like,
they
we
had
do not
been,
respect these mountains.
well, and also you got to think they had been building this stuff in China for a while, like the Great Wall of China. Like they had done such immense construction there, and they were wild boys. But so they would pay these Chinese dudes like crazy amounts of money if they lived upon their return.
Sure.
Problem is, not a lot of them lived. But so like these guys, it was crazy, bro. Like they have, if you want to pull up my Instagram, actually, guy, I have a picture of it on my Instagram because there's this crazy picture of this Chinese dude.
You can go to just Insta and I pull it up.
Just dinging this hole. Like he has got a metal pole. like a metal rod going through this cliff, and him and this like Native American dude and like a European guy are hanging out in the background. And okay, so it's gonna be on that one with me shirtless. Yep, and then slide through a couple pictures on that. It's gonna be like towards the end, and it's like a picture. Keep going, keep going. That one, go back. All right, dude, that shit. Okay, here. So if you can post that up. So there's this guy there. You can see he's hanging on a rope on the side of a cliff, and he's just dinging this metal pole into the cliff, and they would stick these little cloves of dynamite in there, and then they'd just be hanging off that thing while it fucking blows. Blowing up. And then, dude, these guys were wild. Yeah. All right. And like, so I love shit like this. And so this was my favorite part about the trip, was going to all these different museums that I didn't think that I'd like ever see. Right. And so I thought this story was super interesting. And I just thought it was like one of those untold stories of like American history where it's like, how many badass wild motherfuckers were there out there? And we don't get to hear their stories because we have like a whitewashed history. But also it's just like, I mean, these guys, if you made it back, apparently you got paid. You lived like a king if you made it back. And they kind of, in their culture, respected that lifestyle in a way of like, if I don't make it back, I mean, I didn't make it back. But if I do make it back, we're going to like, kids are going to live like kings, you know? Yeah,
we're going to be good. Dude, could you just, I can't imagine. I see the guys window washing in the city. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't imagine hanging from a fucking rope. No. And it's not a harness.
It's not OSHA certified.
No, you know this is not when you go to Adventure Rock or you go to wherever. The
guy looks over it.
Yeah, National Guard comes over and they set that wall up and you're like strapped up, you know, and you're doing like the little thing for fun. This is a rope,
dude. Yeah, and it's literally around
your waist, and then it's
wild boys.
Oh my god, dude! You're drilling a hole and throwing. That's And
then you're sticking dynamite in, and you
have to sit there. You can't go anywhere.
You have nowhere to go, and then you don't know which way that blast is going to go. Where are the rocks weakest? You know what I mean? Because that's the way the explosion's going to go. So say you're like on a weak rock and that's your support. Hey, guess what? You don't have any support anymore. You're going down. It'd be nuts, dude.
It would be a tough day at work, like if we were on the mountain and we were chilling and like I go down or you go down, like, and I got to keep going. Well, I got to put this next dynamite stick in the next hole. Jerry's dad. You know, Avery just went down.
You know what's crazy?
Like, well, I got to keep going. We got 8 more hours of this.
Oh, man, I'm drawing a blank on All Quiet on the Western Front. So you ever read that book or see that movie?
No, I haven't.
Great book about World War I. And there's a story in it where they talk about that because, like, there'd be so many casualties in World War I, right? Yeah. And it's like trench warfare. But people would be stoked if, like, they had a big amount of people die in their unit because then they would have double the rations that day. And there was like one. No, I'm not kidding. It got to a point where they're like, dude, half of our unit's dead. We get double rations for 2 days. And like they were like stoked about it.
That's so sad.
Dude, I know. That is one of the greatest movies that you'll ever watch. The actor, the main character in that movie, I don't know his name, some German cat, but he his eyes, the entire movie, because he starts as like some peppy like little kid at like in high school, and he goes up to the recruiter and like while he's still in high school, and he's like just this jovial little kid, and then you follow him through his first combat mission, second combat mission, and just the dead eyes, dude. The actor is incredible. It's so good.
Wow, dude. Yeah, that is insane. So you went through. That was in Oklahoma. Was the
my bad.
No. We're good. That's what tangent. That's what we do.
Jesus.
That's insane.
So okay. So from Oklahoma City, and then made my way followed the Katy Trail. Katy Trail is sick. It goes from like Kansas City all the way through Kansas, through Oklahoma, through all the way to Dallas. So I took it from all the way to Dallas, and then hung out in Dallas for a night, just rested. Went to what was that neighborhood? Deep Ellum. That neighborhood ruled.
Deep Elm?
Ellum.
Oh,
Ellum. That neighborhood ruled. It's like famous music neighborhood. So I got hammered by myself in Dallas.
And
just,
for you.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. And then just like wandered from bar to bar. Yeah. And like it was crazy. You go into one bar and then it was like a crazy rap concert. Then you go to the very next door. Awesome EDM concert. You go right next door, crazy like world-class country concert, and you're like, dude, what the hell is going on? And I'd have like 2-3 beers each each bar, and then by the end of it, I'm like, I have no idea where I am.
The music was getting better and better.
Yeah,
You're like, wow, this guy's even better.
Honestly, I have no idea if the music was good or not. But it was a fun night. But then, I went to a samurai museum there. Went and checked out the JFK shit too. That was pretty sick.
Yeah.
And then made my way down to Waco. And then went to go check out the cult grounds for Waco. There was a big cult shootout in the 90s with I forget the name of the cult now, but they had a big shootout with the FBI in the 90s in Waco, Texas. And
I know of that. I've heard of that. What's the name of it?
Yeah, give that a Google. What's the name of that cult?
I
feel like the guy's name is Tom, but I can't remember the Thomas something.
Cult. The Waco Siege.
Yeah, it lasted a few days. I remember that. But I biked out there. They don't have anything. They really tried to cover it up. They don't even maintain the highway or anything. Actually, I got chased by dogs while I was on my way out there. That was fucking terrifying. David Koresh. That's right. Yeah, okay. That's right. What was the name of his cult?
Branch Davidians?
Branch Davidians. That's right.
Davidians.
That's right.
That's pretty sick to name a cult after yourself, though. That's kind of badass.
That is so cool, dude. I wish I could start a cult, dude. I'm not organized or charismatic enough.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see how far you could go today. I mean, the new ones they do pop up. I feel like
I feel like there's even some podcast cults out there nowadays. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where it's it might not be a straight up cult where you live there, but it's like a 21st century cult where it's like you're indoctrinated.
I would argue. Yeah, ideology. We've got some news stations that are like that.
Oh yeah, news station media, anything and I mean like the Rogan sphere is like its whole thing, like the. CNN, it's a whole, PBS. I'm all for Miss Rachel. That's all I care about. That's my only political thing. Is, leave Miss Rachel alone.
You go.
I love that.
There you go. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Yeah, dude, so they got in a shootout with the FBI, and then there wasn't much.
Had a shootout. So and then the building burnt down. But then I wanted to go check it out, obviously, because I had seen a couple documentaries, and so then biked out there. So I get to check this out. First of all, I get from Dallas to Waco, and then I find out that it's 20 miles outside of the city limits of Waco. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I've got 1,000 miles under my bike right now. I don't want to do 20 more in the Texas heat, And then so I go out, but I was like, dude, I'm this close. I'm not gonna just bike through Waco and then I'm 20
then not do it.
Yeah, not do it. Yeah. And so I went out there, and then I realized it's middle of ranch land, bumfuck nowhere, and I got chased by these crazy ranch dogs. It was terrifying.
I would say, dude, that's the one thing. I haven't spent much time out west, but I did go. I was in a little rural Texas and rural New Mexico for a little bit. And it's scary, dude.
Dude, yeah.
Because there's just nothing.
It's a wild world, yeah. They call it the Wild West for a reason. And I mean, I saw a bunch of snakes, saw a couple armadillos. That was pretty cute.
That's cool.
And then, but then the dogs. I mean, that was honestly the only scary part of my trip, I would say, where, because they were chasing me and they got to this close away, and I've never biked that fast in my life.
Yeah, and you've already got however many thousand miles.
Right, and I'm already tired. It's literally in the 90s degrees, no shade, God. Texas heat, and and so just drained, but it didn't matter at that point. My adrenaline was going so fast that it was I could have kept going for a couple hundred more yards.
What kind of what kind of dogs we're talking
about? I mean, I want to say pit bull, fucking big dogs, but I wasn't really looking. They were big enough.
They were big enough for you to see them and be running away.
And then there was another annoying one that wasn't really scary, but it was more annoying. And then I was like, I'm gonna run you over. I'm not stopping. But I was like, but it was a little Chihuahua ankle biter, and I was like, I'm not stopping for you to bite me. Luckily I didn't hit him or anything, but I lost him in the wind 20 yards. But
so you eventually get there and you're like, wow, there's not a lot of shit here on this.
Yeah, and then so there wasn't a lot of shit there, and then I was just like, well, I'll go to In-N-Out. I went to In-N-Out basically every day I was in Texas because I'm a California boy at heart, so that place holds dear to me. Yeah. And so I went to where was it? So I went to Waco, back to Waco, city limits, and made my way towards Austin, which was about 3-hour bike ride. And then that was rough because they the cities themselves have good biking lanes, but Texas has to figure out a bike lane from city to city and bike trails from city to city because the Katy Trail from Oklahoma led straight up to Dallas, which was sick.
Yeah.
Once I got into Dallas, it was a nightmare biking around. The infrastructure is just not set up for biking.
Yeah.
So I tried biking around a little bit, ended up just leaving my bike at the hotel and then Ubered. And then I had a lot more fun in Dallas. Austin is incredible biking. Like every lane you go to, it was so fun biking around there. But getting into the city of Austin was a nightmare. And just like two hands on, just constant like looking both ways. The cars going like 40, 50 miles
they're probably
an
like,
hour.
what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Dude?
No,
This is Texas.
I'm the asshole. I know. And in so many situations, I was like, I know I'm the problem. I'm sorry. I'm doing this. Like,
like,
it's
how
a
are you
spiritual journey.
They're like, how's this guy not dead? Like, what is he fucking doing?
And that was like the thing is making conversation with people is like so many people were like, kind of blown away by what I was doing, but also it was like so much support. Like so many people would just like, can I get you a sandwich? Can I get you something to drink? And like, oh, here, have an ice cream cone. Like, I mean, okay, I met this guy. I was talking to my buddy about this guy last week, Alvin, and he was a janitor in Waco, Texas. And I saw a couple ladies, or like a homeless couple with a small child, just hanging out in the shade. And this janitor comes up, and I see him go to like this nearby vending machine, buys a bunch of sandwiches, and just goes over to them and hands it to them. And then I was like, why didn't I think about that? I'm just sitting here in the shade being a selfish schmuck. And so then I like go over to them, and I give them $20. And then it started this whole like pinball thing. There's this other guy, JT, who was on his way to rehab or something like that. He was on his way to San Antonio for rehab, but he goes and he gives him like shoes and a pack of cigarettes. Go JT. But then so it started like this whole like chain vault effect of like good Samaritan act. And then Alvin's just like comes up, the janitor comes up to me. He's like, man, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. So many people are so cold to these people. These people are humans, And I was like, bro, thank you. I wouldn't have even thought to do it. My selfish ass was sitting there on my phone, and you like made me even think to do it. So it's just, you meet so many good people. Like I met this woman named Marsha in Springfield, and she runs a nonprofit for these kids. She grew up in the foster care system, and she they phase out if you don't get adopted, and to a good family by the time you're 17, you're just, all right, see you later. And so many people don't have anywhere to go after that. They don't have any skills. They don't have any jobs, anything like that. Some of them haven't even graduated high school. And then it's just like, all right, see you later. So a lot of them turn to drugs and stuff like that. And Marsha runs this nonprofit for these kids getting out of foster care. And then it's just crazy, like these people that you make little conversations with, and they turn out to be incredible humans, and that was like my favorite part of the trip was just so many cool people.
Wow, dude. Yeah, I bet you probably ran into some wild people, and they probably thought the same about you. They're like, this guy's crazy.
This guy's a wild boy.
Yeah, crazy.
For sure. No, and it was awesome. I mean, you meet so many awesome people, and I met a lot of homeless people that were just really down on their luck, and like some other homeless people that just really were mentally insane. And it's sad because it's just like, dude, we should have help. If we can bomb other countries and like just all of our taxes go to funding these wars, it's like we could help these people, but it doesn't make us money. And so like our government doesn't give a shit, and it's just like
instead we spend money to not help them. We add fucking bars on benches so they can't lay down.
Exactly. We're just we go out of our way to be inhumane to them. And I think just like maybe me removing the wall of being assumptive, like presumptive. How do I help me out here, buddy?
We're
like I'm trying to
having preconceived notions.
Yeah,
about
exactly. I like instead of having a preconceived notion about them, I've just like wanted every day to go out of my way to make conversation with a stranger, and like didn't matter who they were, and like, but just get to know like where they come from, and you meet so many people that are just, they did not have a fair share in life, and like a fair roll of the dice, and it just breaks your heart. But then, so you try to help people along the way as much as you can. That being said, I've had like people tried to rob me. I had like shit where like it got nuts, and then like people try to like get you to get a hotel for them so they can shower, and you want to, but then you're like, shit, then I got a mentally ill person in a hotel on my credit card dime. I can't financially afford this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it is crazy. Yeah, it shouldn't be on the. That's one of the things I hate too. I see that online where like a big influencer or a big celebrity will like do something really, really awesome like with their money that like helps a bunch of people. In our case, like now, like Mr. Beast will like do all this stuff, and he does some awesome shit, dude. And people are like, see, this is why we shouldn't, like, you'll see like Republicans sometimes take that and be like, this is why we shouldn't tax billionaires and we shouldn't tax super rich people because look, they can do look at all the good we can do with that amount of money. And it's like, yeah, but he decided to do that.
Right.
He had to make that decision. He benefits zero much from doing that. I mean, other than his views and stuff.
Like you should be able to fill out a bracket, like a poll system of like where you want your taxes to go. Cool. I think that would be a great thing for America to be like, okay, I want to put 30% of my income tax, I want it to go to education because that's what I value. And then Johnny down the street wants to do it with medicine. And I think that is a great, I think that's true freedom. If we're gonna be the land of the free.
Exactly. Yeah, I just think too, it just sucks that like it's amazing when people do dope stuff like that, and even like you and this guy Alvin like helping somebody out, but like kind of what we're getting at is like it shouldn't be up to you having to put your credit card, make that decision of should I put my credit card down and help this person out today or should I not. It shouldn't have to be on you because we have enough money to help these people. We have the resources to do it. We just don't want to.
We're just selfish.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. What on this trip, whether it was someone trying to rob you or a tire popping or you slicing your foot or whatever, what was the hardest thing of biking thousands of miles to Texas from Milwaukee? What was the hardest thing?
What was the hardest thing?
Or biggest challenge, or maybe a story that pops out to you where you're like, this was insane that this happened. And maybe
there were a couple days where like I didn't see anybody, and like I'd just be on the trails and like certain parts of Oklahoma and
you
Kansas.
Did this whole thing by yourself, right? No one else was biking with you.
Nobody else. And I barely told people. I told my dad, I told my best friend, and I told a couple of my best friends, and that's about it. And and then I just left. And so I guess the hardest part was when I was in Illinois. Illinois. I was about 3 days in and realized I had barely made a dent. And I had so much more and my body was so sore and my neck was like on fire and I couldn't feel anything. And I just didn't know if my body would like be able to do it. And so then in a way I threw in the towel from my original plan. My original plan was to just bike the entire way. And, but then, I was like, dude, just hop on the train. It's fine. You recover a little bit and then use the time to recover in St. Louis and, and then Kansas City again. But just like, because you do have a long ways to go, but then enjoy the cities. And then because I augmented and strayed away from like my original plan, I was able to enjoy these cities so much more than what I would have originally, where I would have just been biking every single day. Where like in St. Louis, I found a chess museum. Actually, I think I got the hat on.
There you go.
The chess museum. And my brother and I and my sister were all very like big into chess growing up. And so I like called my brother. I didn't tell my brother I was doing this. So I called him. I was like, hey, I'm in St. Louis. BTW, I'm biking across the country. He's like, what? I was like, but check out the chessboard. And like there were crazy chessboards all over the place.
Sure.
And like they had samurai ones. They had like sushi ones. They had Simpsons ones. They had Alice in Wonderland. Like anything. Avatar, like The Last Airbender. It was so cool. But then so I called my brother, showed him that, and then went to like did the arch and everything, and so you get to do all
you had a little bit. It sounds like you like augmenting the plan, like giving yourself a little bit of grace, but you're not giving up on it. You just shifted a little bit, and allowed yourself to. Then you still got to complete it because maybe if you were like, no, I have to do this. Maybe you don't complete it.
Yeah, true.
Maybe you don't finish it because you literally just
get injured
or
something like that. And I mean, one of these days I'll do like, you know, I
You should go across America, walk across America.
That's why actually when my son graduates high school, that's going to be my big trip is New York City to San Diego. And that'll be my big one. I'm excited for that. But it'll take a few months, so he'll have to be off to college or doing whatever the hell he wants to do after high school, where I don't have to. Because that was another thing is like I gave myself 3 weeks because I just felt guilty being away from my kid that long, you know?
Yeah,
and that was the longest that I've ever gone without seeing him.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll give myself 3 weeks to figure it out. And then, so I was like, well, I want to enjoy myself in Austin. I want to, enjoy myself. So I changed the plan as I was like, not falling behind, but also falling behind because of rest days.
Sort of realizing the magnitude of what this is going to be. Like, all right, well, dude, if I actually want to enjoy any of this and not just literally be on the bike, maybe we got to take a look.
Yeah. And it was good just going with the wind, you know?
Yeah. I get that. So did you have a tire pop at all or anything?
No, dude.
No
didn't
chain
have a
brakes or
tire.
anything?
Didn't have a tire break. I did get my bike looked at and just like, because the tires were getting pretty rough and so I got it looked at a bike shop in Jefferson City, Missouri, and then they just kind of fixed everything for me before it popped, and then had my bike professionally like looked at and all beforehand. And then once I got to Austin, I had it disassembled and then mailed back, and then I just jumped on a plane.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Excellent. Wow, dude, that's
crazy,
crazy dude.
Nuts.
That's is so
yeah,
nuts.
and then I got to talk about this one on the podcast actually.
Okay.
So I get to Austin, and one of my best friends, his name is Austin, who lives in Austin.
Who lives in Austin.
Said that about 30 times while I was there.
That's amazing.
But so he trains at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Austin, and I knew that. And then I know a bunch of the security guys at the Comedy Mothership train at 10th Planet. So my first night in Austin, I go down to 6th Street to the Comedy Mothership, and I go up to some of the door guys. I'm like, hey, do you know Austin Luchin? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what time is he goes to 10th Planet, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, don't tell him I'm talking to you. I'm a buddy from Milwaukee. What time's he go to practice? And he's like, usually 11 a.m. And I was like, hey, bet. Don't tell him you were talking to me. He's like, okay. So then I go to practice the next day, and I just see Austin Luchin come in. I'm like, Austin Luchin. And he looks at me. He's like, Avery.
I had no idea you were coming.
I didn't tell him I was coming.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing here? I was like, I biked here. He's like, what? I was like, I've been out in the shit for like 2 weeks, And it was awesome, dude. We had
God, that's insane.
And then we went, ended up getting there. So we trained and hung out throughout the day, but then I got there the weekend of the Austin Music Festival, which was perfect, and then we just did that and had a great night. We splurged and got the VIP ones, so we got like special bathrooms, and it was that was honestly that was the biggest. We had other features, I just can't remember.
That was the biggest
that was the biggest one, because it was like 90 degrees. I was like, I don't even have to take a shit, but I want to out of principle, but we had a great time.
That's insane. When you meet up with somebody, because I played basketball all my life, so like if me and my boys, if I was to visit him in a separate city and like we were gonna get some shots up, right? Like we would just get some shots up. What does it look like if you're like you and a buddy are gonna get a session in for jiu-jitsu? Are you going against each other, or are you? Yeah,
and I mean, well, usually, so for this one, my body was fried, so I was like this was like the day I got back from Austin, so I was like, I got like 1 or 2 rounds in me, and then I'm like, because I don't want to get injured, so I rolled with him for like 5 minutes, and then I went with like 2 other guys, and then I was like, I'm not doing anything else today because I don't want to get injured.
When you say rolled, that means like you guys got on the ground and you guys are grabbing each other or whatever.
Yeah, going
it's
at it.
So crazy to me, dude. It's
dude,
so,
honestly,
from a non if you're not in that world, just sometimes it's so funny. The memes are really funny about
it's definitely the gayest thing I do.
Definitely
the most homoerotic thing I do.
Have you ever? I mean, like jiu-jitsu's dope. Like there's absolutely. Like the people that do it, especially people do it at a high level, like it's incredibly impressive. It seems like you really enjoy it. Have you ever been hard on the mat? Have you ever gotten a boner while you were fighting?
Not with my dude friends, but like some girls, some girls, not even in training, but like some girls will like it when you show them moves and then it leads to a sexual thing. But that's not like on the mat. That's like
I've seen those pornos. They've got good pornos with that
that's
now.
Like, I mean, like some girls are like, and then you get a boner. But then I do remember training with a friend, and I'm not gonna say her name out of respect, but then she like told her friend, she's like, You know, I felt Avery's penis while we were rolling, and I'm a little offended because he didn't have a boner. And I was like, I know she's just joking, but then I was just like, I mean, this is like the last thing I'm thinking of. Also, if I'm rolling with a friend and want like a female friend and wanting her to feel comfortable,
I'm doing everything I can to not.
That would be the worst nightmare is if I had a boner.
I'm putting blood everywhere else if I can.
I am so sorry.
Dude, that's rough. I always wondered that there's a trend on TikTok right now where it's like with wrestling. Like you'll see these like high schoolers will be wrestling or college dudes will be wrestling each other at these meets, and they'll like get somebody from behind. And there's this song that plays, like it's like something about like stroke game or whatever, and these dude they'll like get disqualified because they'll like straight up thrust the dude, like bend him over and like thrust
so
into
rude,
him.
dude.
And I'm just like, dude, I never did the sport, so I don't know, but I'm just like, that's gotta be like disheartening to get basically bent over.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean,
like if a guy got you, he got you around and he just is holding you, he just gave you one of those.
Oh,
like,
dude, we're fighting then.
That's what I
Fuck
mean.
the rules. Like I'm fucking kneeing you in the face.
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
Don't feed.
I mean, but you gotta. I mean, like, you've seen the memes too, where it's like you get in a street fight with somebody, but you didn't know he takes jujitsu, and then the guy like gets on the ground, and he's, like,
starts pulling guard.
He's like, come on, man, come on, come here, and he starts crawling. I'm like, what it like, dude?
I mean, so there are guys in jujitsu that are definitely like, they just pull guard and they have no wrestling, and like, I think in a street altercation, it's gonna be rough. You know, like I don't think they have the skills to really deal with it. But also, there's guys that in jiu-jitsu, they come from wrestling or they come from different athletics, and they can get you to the ground whether you like it or not. And there's some guys in jiu-jitsu that are very reactive, and they have to wait for you to entangle with them.
They want to see what you do
but
first.
But then once you get into their web, good luck getting out, you know? But then it's like, if a guy's literally going to sit on his butt in a street fight, it's like, okay, just back up and run
I'm
away,
just going to walk away from you. Like, get the fuck away from me. Yeah. It does crack me up a little bit. What is, this is, we've never really talked about this on the podcast. What are some of the things that people don't know about jiu-jitsu, maybe the like annoyances that you guys got to deal with? I've heard like Matt Burn, and like I've heard of like mat worms and stuff.
Ringworm.
Yeah. What is that when people, that's like the mats aren't clean, so we're
yeah,
getting worms?
pretty much. Yeah, I've never had staph, knock on wood, but I've had ringworm before, and it's just like circular, literally looks like a little circle about the size of a dime, and it just shows up. I don't honestly know what it is.
It's not actually a parasite, is it? Or?
No, dude, I don't even know.
Maybe.
If you want to Google it, honestly, I just know it's not good, and you got to deal with it before. It's like a fungus, like a fungus in your shit, but I don't know what it is. But I do know I have Lamotrin, which is ringworm cream, just in case it ever pops up.
Yeah, it's just a fungal infection.
I do want to say, while I'm on the podcast, my buddy Dan Borvik, one of my best friends, great jiu-jitsu guy. One time, he's been my friend for like 10 years, one of my best friends. He always kicks my ass in jiu-jitsu. He's just bigger, better. And he had my back once, and he was about to get in a rear naked choke, and he was like putting his arms up, and I was trying to defend his hands, to get the hands in on the choke. And I just see this big circle that was ringworm on his arm, and as I see it, I'm like, oh, and I see it go across, and he's cross-facing me with it, so I just see it go across. I'm like, oh fuck, and then I just like tapped before the thing was even, the choke was even. I was like, what is that? And his disgust, Dan, you're disgusting, I love you, but he's just like, he's like, oh, I think that's ringworm, and I'm like, bro, like, dude, what the fuck? It's like, I just all across my face, and then so I like just shower, he's like, I don't think it's contagious anymore. I didn't end up getting it on my face, thank God, but I was like terrified for a week. But it was just,
I love that. It's not contagious. Like, bro, how'd you get it?
Yeah, I know.
You got it off the fucking mat.
He is the smartest guy in certain ways. Yeah. And then like in martial arts, he is brilliant. And like his system is for war. Like he is a brilliant like combatant. And then you talk to him about stuff like that. I'm like, how are you alive?
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you? But he's like
mind-blowing.
this crazy. Oh man. I think he's Siberian. I forget what he is. But he's like one of those crazy Eastern European refugees, like first generation immigrants. So he's like from a whole.
So a little ringworm isn't going to bother him.
He's like from a war-torn country. Like he's a crazy motherfucker.
God, dude, yeah. What's something else that you guys got to deal with in jiu-jitsu that people don't know? Like if people are coming from regular like sports, not combat sports.
Well, I guess like from the outside looking in, I remember being new when I was new, and you would look at these guys like they were superheroes and everything, and everybody, high level, low level, hobbyist, whatever they are, is always going through like a lot of stuff, and like being cognizant and like being there for your teammates outside of just jiu-jitsu, but in life, are the people that will you'll stick around. And like I've had the best friendships with those people that like have, especially with my shit going on, like with my dad and everything a couple of years ago, like I found out like who really cares about me, like and they would reach out and like, and even if it's just like, hey man, you want to come by the gym and roll, like, because dudes aren't the best at like talking about it, but it's like, hey, you want to,
let's grab each other, man.
You want to touch each other, you want to play footsie for 45 minutes.
I love that though.
No, but it's like, or even just like, dude, like my buddy Dan opened up a sick gym in Waterford, which is like right by Burlington area. It's right next to the sick nature reservation, so we just always go out there after training and just like get reconnected with our earth. And it's awesome, and it's like but so I guess like to answer your question, like everybody regardless of skill, like how good you are in it, how long you've been in, you always have something to learn from, even like a white belt. Maybe it's not something martial arts related, but something life related, something skill acquisition related. You can always learn, and that's one of the things I love about it. Same with chess, is it's a never-ending equation, right? You will never solve the problem.
It seems like too in both cases, like outside looking in, right? Because I don't I'm not in jiu-jitsu. I've done a little bit of boxing, but other than that, nothing else really combat sports related. It's an intimate sport because you're low-key, I mean, in the homoerotic way as well, but like also like if you and somebody are going to do it, I mean, it's one-on-one. It's not there's not 6 guys, 7 guys all going at each other. I mean, maybe you're doing like, some sort of circuit or something like that, or training together. But like, if we're competing, it's literally just one-on-one. Yeah. Like if we're working on stuff, like we are working on stuff.
And yes, and I suppose like that's another thing is be a good teammate. Yeah. And if you know you're the hammer, be a nice hammer. Sure. And you know what I mean? Yeah. And like, and if you're the nail, take your lickings. Don't try to die on your sword, tap and tap frequently. But also like, so if you're okay, there's so many like different types of drilling and like rolling scenarios. Like there's drilling where you're just drilling positions where you're going very light and you're just feeling the flow of like, for example, like an inside ashi, which is like a leg entanglement position, moving to outside ashi, moving to berimbolo. So it's all these like leg entanglement sequences. Yeah. And then berimbolo, then I can open into lockdown. From lockdown, I can go into truck. From truck, I can take the back, or I can take the legs.
Literally working on like the movement, getting from position to
point
position.
A to point B. And then you need to be a good teammate because you got to let your teammate drill these moves, right? So you got to roll and know, okay, I'm safe here, but where am I in danger? Okay, roll the opposite way so he can move into outside ashi or like inside ashi, depending on where he is. And then then there's also just like, okay, we're getting after it today. Yeah. Don't be a bitch. If you're going to be the nail, don't be a bitch, but also don't be stubborn and get injured so you're going to be on the shelf for 6 months. And then if you're the hammer, be mindful of who you're rolling with. And like that being said, like if it's competition team practice, and you're at the competition team practice, that's what you're there for. You're there to work. So, but then if you're doing a fundamentals class, don't be a dick, And like I've met so many people that were dicks to people in comedy and in martial arts that then the new guys didn't stick around. And I always remembered who was nice to me in martial arts and in comedy first, but when I sucked. Yeah. And then, and I remember the people that were dicks, you know, and I'll fucking,
That's something too, dude. So I run like a couple like basketball open gyms
Sure.
where we get like people of all different. I mean, people
Oh,
that
I
played
bet.
in college,
Yeah.
people that are never played it organized basketball at all, other guys that are just athletic, just want to do something fun, whatever. And that's something that I had a lot of people like in the time of, if you do a sport for long enough, like you'll be on different teams or you'll be around different people, and there's so many people like you're saying that do suck. Like even if they're good, but they were just terrible to people that were worse than them. They were terrible teammates. They were just bad people, and you're like, dude, why are you this way? And you watch people quit because of it, because they don't want to deal with
It
that.
infuriates me. And
Yeah.
now I'm at a point in both places with martial arts and comedy. I'll say something to those people now that if they're being rude, because like that is like one of my biggest pet peeves is like people that are bullies to like newer people, and it's one thing if you're tough on them, but show them the correct way. And like, because certain people like that style of learning, and that's okay if that's like, if they respond well to it. If not, there's a million other jiu-jitsu gyms where you'll find an instructor that you're more compatible with. But like in comedy as well, you know, like be nice. If the people are trying to be funny and they're trying not to be hurtful, you can tell when somebody's like just pissed off at an ex, and then they're like, it's their way to be like, oh, I'm just gonna bash women at an open mic for 6 months. You can tell the intention a lot of times, right? Like or if it's just like a guy who's just like, I don't know what to say because I'm new at this. I'm nervous, so I think this is funny. Maybe you guys do. You know, you can always tell the vibe, difference,
energy,
the intention.
And
so I try to always give people the benefit of the doubt. And even if you bomb on stage, if you're like nice to hang out with, I'd way rather have you around than somebody who's nice on or good on stage, but a fucking dick and just like rude to be around. It's like, I don't like need to fuck with you. I don't care how many Instagram followers you have. I don't care about any of that shit, dude. And like so. Yeah, I'd always rather just like the good eggs.
Dude, 100 million%. And I think people, I do think people still, even though I feel like that's said now so often, I think people still undervalue that. Where it's like in any discipline, I would rather that second scenario.
For sure.
Where it's like, I would rather hang out with the person that is less good. I have won at a high level with teammates in even sports too, right? And even not in sports, in musical stuff and whatever. Like I've succeeded with people that maybe were not at the level they needed to be at in whatever discipline that was. Like if we're saying like, were they the most talented, the most skilled, whatever, they weren't, but they were just good people.
Right.
And the intention, they wanted to do well, versus the star or the stud that doesn't give a fuck or is an asshole about the fact that they're a stud or they're whatever.
That's one thing.
I don't want to be around you. And I think as you get older, it's like real shit happens in your life, you know, like we're talking about this spiritual journey that you went on and you had all these things going on in your life. You got real shit that's happening, real demons that you're dealing with. And as I do, as everybody does, especially the older you get, do I want to spend my time with somebody that's a piece of shit just because they have 10,000 followers on Instagram? Yeah. I do not give a fuck, dude. Yeah, you suck.
Shit. Yeah.
I've met some people in the comedy scene, in the music scene, in basketball, et cetera, that like, they're doing great, they're killing, and it seems like people like them, and then like I meet them and they're just a fucking asshole, and I'm like, oh dude, well this is the last time that I'll ever speak to this person.
Right. This is, and I gotta give like a shout out to my buddy. He doesn't need a shout out, he's fucking famous as hell, but Charlie Barron's, I went out with him last weekend to Kansas City, and we've been friends for a while, and this guy, he's the most famous guy I know probably, and the nicest person
seems that
you
way.
will ever meet. No, I'm not like, dude, it's weird sometimes.
Really?
I'm like, dude, what's going on?
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
like where he is very successful, but he is kind to everybody he meets, everybody that like comes out. This guy gets flooded by people. When I go out with him in Milwaukee, it's nuts. I'm like, dude, I'm exhausted.
I
didn't even do it. Well, basically what happens is they ask me to take pictures the whole time. But he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. I mean, I could tell you stories when I was just personal training and Charlie like paid my bills because he knew I was short like on money, you know, and he just would be like, here, man, now I'm good for sessions for a couple weeks because I train him. And but he'd just like, you know, he'd just send me Zelle for like rent that month just so he knew that I was good. Like he doesn't need to do that shit, you know? And like, but he does that, and he does that for everybody, like maybe not financially. I don't know what he does with
Yeah.
his other friends.
Now everyone's like, hey, Charlie, can I get some money?
No, don't do that. But definitely don't do that.
Yeah.
But like he is there for his friends,
Yeah.
you know, and if you are like, I guess like you can prove to him that you're not just there as like a bandwagon guy, but like I've been buddies with him for a while, so it's irrelevant in our case. But like I feel like he's at a point of fame where maybe he's like scared to make new friends, you know what I mean?
I get that.
But then it's like, dude, he's the best. And then getting to know him and seeing his rise in fame is like, I'm so happy that somebody like him is famous, you know, because he's like him and Theo Von. I met Theo Von years ago before he blew up at a comedy club, Comedy on State, I believe.
Excellent. Yeah.
But then like those are the two famous guys, like best guys that I've ever met.
Really?
Though, you know, and like Theo I met very limited. It was probably like a 30-minute interaction. But you could tell he was like just a genuine person and like had a good soul. And same with Chuck, you know, and I love that about him. And it's just so cool. Like I went to go see him at a like theater, it's like a really nice theater in Kansas City. And I was like, dude, this is too fancy for us, dude. I was like, we should not be here. It's like, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. It's like awesome to see him kill it, you know, and just seeing your homies like succeed is one of the coolest things about being in martial arts and being in comedy. It's like I'm friends with like several UFC fighters, and like seeing them like just succeed, have their dreams, you know. And then like I've got a buddy who just got a 90 and 90. I won't say his name to save, sure. But he got a contract in the UFC, 90 and 90, 90K to show up, 90K to win, meaning he gets a minimum of $180,000 if he wins. That's fucking awesome. That's a 10 fight deal too. So 10 fights, he gets that deal. And then if he wins, like if he does good on this contract, it's only going to go up from there. Like, Jesus. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Get that shit.
Dude.
Get that
it's got to feel good. And I think too, it's like, when you especially when you see that happen to good people, it hits differently.
Yes,
you know?
and
so like with Charlie, like that's awesome.
Yeah, you know? And all the success that he has, every time I see like a commercial and he's sponsored by Quick Trip or Fleet Farm, I'm like, I don't know how this happened, but I am so happy
you
for
see him on the interstate on the billboards.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
I know. I'm like, oh yeah, I know.
Dude, shout out to him too for the not that he needs it, but he had that video recently about like one of the data centers that they were putting up.
Yeah, dude.
That put so many people, because I've been getting a bunch of that stuff on my For You page, and so like I've been like trying to repost stuff and like tell people to like go do shit, like go if you have the time, go fucking call these people, yell at them, sign the petition, whatever, because they're trying to fuck with the Great Lakes big time, and especially here in Wisconsin. And to see someone like him who he doesn't need to do that, he's got his money, he's big, he's whatever. The fact he's like, no, I care about this, and this is whack.
He's very passionate about it.
I respected the hell out of that.
That was like one of the main conversations we had on Friday night when we were hanging out. But yeah, he's very passionate about that. And then him and another guy, Tommy G, who's a huge YouTuber around
we had
here.
Tommy G on a while back.
Oh, really? Dude, I love Tommy. Yeah, I've known Tommy for years, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Tommy's one of the homies.
Yeah.
But yeah, him and Charlie are supposedly doing something together YouTube-wise, so that'll be cool.
That'll be interesting.
No, it's awesome to see like the Milwaukee boys coming up
doing
too.
Some
you know,
stuff.
it's
sick. Dude, it is cool. All right, well, we're getting close to that time, but I feel like we've had some good stories already. I want to know, because you were an interesting guy, and I feel like you've had some interesting jobs throughout your life, from what we've talked about a little bit off air. What do you think is the weirdest or oddest job that you've worked?
Weirdest or oddest?
Something that sticks out.
I mean, I was a teacher for like 6 months. So that was crazy.
You were a teacher?
Yeah. I was a teacher for like 6 months.
What did you
I realized
teach?
I 4th and 5th grade ELA.
No way.
Dude, it was sick. I honestly loved it. I just like money more. And, like if I could get like universal basic income and like a little money on the side, then I would totally be a teacher.
Really?
Yeah. It's super fun. But it's also like, dude, kids are tough. Like, and I love my son. I love my son more than anything. I would die for him. I would do anything for him. But like other kids, dude, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, eat shit.
Yeah.
No, they're cool. I mean,
what were they giving you hard times about?
Okay,
4th and 5th
so
graders?
like this one kid, I won't say his name obviously, but like he's like 4 or 5 times throughout like one class period, he's playing with this little paper football, like little origami thingy, you know. And he's so I'm just like, I'll call him Ted. I'm like, Ted, don't play with that. And then he'd be like, okay, and he'd set it down. And then like 30 seconds later, he'd be doing it again. I'd be like, Teddy, stop. Yeah. And then, it got to a point where I actually like had to take it from him. And then he's like, why the fuck would you do that? I'm like, yo, Teddy, what the heck, man? Yeah. I was like, you can't say that to people. He's like, well, whatever, faggot. And then I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, Teddy, you can't say that word. That's a very hurtful word. Okay, yeah. You can never say that word. And you're the one playing with origami. That's gay as fuck, dude. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that, but I thought it. Yeah. So then, I mean, like, it's just a million things with that. And then I was literally personal training. I had to train like 3 or 4 people a day on top of teaching just to pay my bills. So it was just like long term. It wasn't it didn't make any financial sense. Yeah. I made way more money as a personal trainer, and like so then I went back to training full time. I would say that was like my most fun job. I've definitely met the most interesting people personal training though. Definitely like I mean, like in a bragging sense, like I got to train Charlie because of it. I got to train DJ Shauna from the Bucks for a while, DJ Shauna, and then I got to train Hornswoggle, the professional wrestling. No fucking way, dude. I got a story about him actually. Fuck this guy. Yeah. He owes me $2,000. Hornswoggle? Hornswoggle. No! I owe my money, bitch. I ain't forgot. Dude. No, it's war, dude. Every time he gets brought up.
Fuck yeah. What did he do?
So this was before he got signed by the WWE. No, he got signed by the WWE. He just didn't get paid by them yet. So he's like, yo, once they pay me, couldn't you just get me jacked for my first wrestling event? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then, I'll pay you when I get paid by them. And I was like, all right, worst case, I get robbed by a dwarf, which is hilarious. Second, like best case scenario is I get a client in the WWE. Yeah. And that's just huge for me as a trainer, Yeah. So I risked it, and then I was like, I got him jacked though. I had like a bit about it, but like I got him like weirdly buff. Like he was squatting like 350 pounds. Yeah. And I was like, this is not good for your bones, Because I'm twice his size, so I have twice as many bones. But so he fucking. Anyways, so he doesn't pay me when he gets like we had a session planned when he got paid after he got paid, and then he just no showed and then like blocked me on everything, and so owes me. I think it was like 1,600. I forget exactly what it was. Yeah. We'll round it up to 2. But I'm looking at the camera right now. But no. That was like 2014 or something. So that was a long ass time ago. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna ever see that.
I don't think we're gonna see that one. Maybe.
But so then, then there was this guy. This guy was wild. He did gut punching competitions.
What is a gut punching competition?
Exactly what it sounds like. Where you just take turns.
Can we just pull the?
Yeah, maybe they got something. I don't even know.
Just a YouTube of gut punching videos.
That's like got to be a subreddit or something.
That's got to be. Holy shit! That sounds.
But so
scary.
like they would just take turns punching each other in the stomach. And then like it's like the slap competition, but gut punching.
But just punching. And, this is like the. Oh God, that's gotta be bad for you. Yeah, just click any one of them. Let's just see it. Just it's bounce nuts. Around. You don't even need sound. Just see like what it looks like. That's like that game you played in like. I remember when I was in middle school.
Bro, this is oh my God. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
interrupt. No. Everyone would do this game where like you would like we would each have our hands, like we would hold hands, and then like you would take turns like slapping the fuck out of the person's hand.
Yeah, dude.
Like, we would do that because we were too afraid. No one wanted to like actually hit each other, but you just like kind of slap each other's hand. Where it's like. This shit is crazy.
Dude, yeah, this guy was so weird too. So like I would meet him at the gym and we would just do different stuff like that where I'd just punch him in the stomach, I'd kick him in the stomach. I would hire my friend Zach Visser, who's this wild snowboarder boy who's just like one of the craziest kids I've ever met. And we would take turns kicking him and punching him in the stomach. We'd step on his stomach, like
So like, is he like ripped though? Is his stomach?
He's like some fat 50-year-old dude. That's Rico Van Hooven, the big guy. He's one of the best kickboxers on the planet. But
he don't look like this when he's getting.
No. He was like some fat out of shit. He looked like every janitor in America. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's dead now.
All right.
He's like, dude, he's another guy who didn't show up for our appointment. Yeah. And then I saw like on Facebook like a week later that he died. I'm like, oh,
God damn, yeah. So just let
that's Rico Van Hooven, the guy on the right. That's one of the best K1 kickboxers of all time.
He looks like he could kill somebody.
I'm pretty sure he's got like a crazy assault record too, like rap sheet.
I'm sure. That's what's up with the combat sports fellows? And
dude, you got to be a wild boy for it. Okay. But then on top,
dude, he
yeah,
just punched
dude.
him right in the.
Jesus Christ. That
Look
sucks.
at that, dude.
Let's watch that again.
Would you do this if for a
money?
video?
Yeah. Not for a video. I don't want attention.
You need to get paid.
Bad. If you give me
how
money.
much? How much would to do this?
From Rico?
Yeah.
I'll do it for $1,000.
God, dude, that's gotta suck.
Because it'll suck for like 10 seconds, but then you'll be all right.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, he's fucked.
That sucks.
Yeah. So yeah, why is that? Why are?
Well, I think you're already a wild boy to want to do it in the first place, but then you take so many concussions and everything. You're already gonna be an impulsive risk taker. Just by nature, that's why you got into it in the first place.
And it doesn't help that you have the skills to be pretty good in an altercation.
But also, it's like, yes, the worst cases are when MMA fighters do MMA in the wrong setting, right? But like, think of how many good people there are from mixed martial arts. Like, there's so many great ambassadors of the sport, and they don't get the respect that they deserve because like we only know about the bad news, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's so many great, like the nicest people I know are the most dangerous people. Yeah. Like my buddy Dan is the most dangerous guy. Like he's beaten Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan in competition. Those are number 1 and number 2 grapplers in the world.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Dan's beaten him before in competition.
Yeah.
He's the nicest person you will ever meet, and he could kill everybody in the room, very easily. Yeah. But unless you were threatening his life or his family's life directly, like you would never see that side of him.
Yeah.
And like I've never even seen him yell or raise his voice. Like I'm way more. I'm like that, little chihuahua. I mean, that being said, I don't get in like squabbles or anything. But yeah, that's like the biggest thing. Is like most MMA guys, even if they compete, like and they're active UFC fighters or whatever organization, ONE FC, LFA, they're warriors in the garden outside of the competition. Like they don't want any problems with anybody because they know how dangerous it is too. It's like the most dangerous people I think are the ignorant ones who think they're invincible because they've never been humbled. Like I've been humbled multiple times this week alone. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm just a human being. And it's like, I could beat the shit out of a lot of people. I know a lot of people that could beat my ass too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, so it humbles you out and you're just every day you get reminded, even if you have a good day, you still get reminded that you're just another dude.
Yeah.
And
like, that's a good point.
There's nothing you're nothing fancy.
I feel like that is probably a big plus of combat sports is that you're always going to be humbled in the learning curve of doing it. Before we wrap, I want to know that'll be my last thing I'll ask you. What is the biggest learning curve, or what's like the first thing where you like finally get it and you go like, oh, I'm kind of good at this? Because like in martial arts, mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, whatever, kickboxing or whatever that you want to tell on. Because it's interesting. I was watching somebody recently talk about in America specifically with like basketball, like the average to be like okay at basketball, like the skill level is like pretty high nowadays, whereas like maybe 10-15 years ago, like you could just kind of walk onto a court and if you could just run around you'd be fine. But like the average like high schooler can make like deep threes, can like switch hand layups and stuff like that. I didn't
actually realize the sport had evolved that much recently.
I mean, it's pretty. I would say it's pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of.
Do you think that's because of the internet and now everybody's able to like see training videos?
Yeah, I think
so much
access
easier?
to information.
I think it's similar with martial arts.
Yeah, and I think I just think the game, like the way that the pros play now after like the late 2010s, people shooting more threes and stuff like that too. It's like a whole. The fact that the game has to be so much more stretched out, it's so much harder to play defense, and like there's so many more skills that or tools that the offensive players have. So like, and now the kids learn those shit. They learn that shit because they want to play like whoever they want to play like. Yeah, it's crazy. The average to be like good at basketball, the people were arguing that like the threshold for that is like a little bit higher than it used to be. So like the learning curve, like you got to be, if you can't hit wide open shots, cooked. You got to be able to hit. You have to be able to hit 6, 7. I would say 7 or 8 out of 10. 6, 7.
What does it mean? My son's been saying it like for 3 weeks.
He needs
it's
to keep
driving
saying
me nuts.
If you can't hit 7 out of 10 wide open, like you're not good. You're not like even okay. Like I would say, like if you're like wide open corner 3, you better be hitting 7 out of 10.
Right. I guess like for jiu-jitsu and maybe just mixed martial arts in general, is when you can figure out 1 or 2 good passes and 1 or 2 good submissions, and you can do it against various people and various body types, and they know it's coming and they can't stop it.
That's when things start to click.
Right.
For you.
And then like if you get, but honestly, like there's some guys that their guard passing sucks. Right, like they can't guard pass against anybody over purple belt, but then their foot entanglements will be black belt level. So then they don't even need to pass the guard. They don't even need to get past their legs because they're going to use your legs. And so then, but it's all about, hey, what do you got, right? Like, what are you good at? Are you good at a butterfly pass? Are you good at a butterfly sweep? Are you good at a double under pass? Are you good at like an outside single, inside single? Like whatever you're good at, and like you can impose your will. I guess that's what the term I'm looking for. Whatever you can find to impose your will and be proactive instead of reactive. Right? Instead of waiting for somebody and then you're like, oh, here's my moment. But you're initiating your will, because a lot of it is mental, right? And like a lot of it is like, I'm going to impose my will on him. And if he's mentally tough, he's still going to be trying to impose his will on me by the end of the round. But then sometimes you'll see as the round goes on, it's like you're imposing your will on them. You're starting to see the
chips in the armor.
And also them slowing down, them not trying as much, them being more reactive, them letting you pass, or like because they don't like the pressure. If you're like crushing their head, they're going to let you pass because they don't want to get their head smushed anymore. So you could pass into like side control or knee on belly, and just improve your position.
Shit, dude. Yeah, that makes sense though. Once you get it is interesting, like the parallels. I always just love, especially like talking to people that are super passionate about other sports too, because like have you read the Art of War?
Sun Tzu.
Yeah, when he's like, when you see the world, I forgot, how does he say it? Like, you see the world through one discipline, then you see that in all. And it's interesting, like when you're even bringing up that, like there's plenty of players that I know in basketball that like they have their one or two moves, and because of their athleticism, et cetera, they've been able to skate by. They like, I mean, we're talking guys that make it Division II, even Division I basketball, and they really only have like one or two good moves that they can get to.
But those moves,
they're just, I mean, he's 6'5" and he's got a crazy step back. Like that's all he needs. Like he gets to his spot and he makes that shot.
World titles are won often by basics, and it's the people that are the best of the basics. Like, for instance, Max Holloway doesn't do anything fancy. Alexander Volkanovski doesn't do anything fancy. Islam Makhachev doesn't do anything fancy, but they're so good at the basics. Like Max Holloway's jab cross. That's what's won him. I don't know how many times he's won the belt, but 1-2s have won Max Holloway the belt multiple times. Sean Strickland, jab crosses and teeps, won him the belt. Beat Israel Adesanya, one of the best strikers in the world. Beat him with jab crosses and teeps. You know what I mean? And so it's like, Alex Pereira, one of my favorite fighters, that left hook. He's so good at that left hook, and but it's a basic punch. You learn it on your first day of boxing, or learn it on your first day of kickboxing. But there's some people that are so good at that punch, and like so good at the distance with that punch. They know their exact range. They know their opponent's range. They know their opponent's habits. Do they lean to the left? Do they lean to the right? Do they back straight up? Do they back up to the left? Do they back up to the right? Like which foot do they put more of their weight on when they're moving? Like, so they're able to make these decisions like in a nanosecond, and then based off their training, they're so good at
it's always gonna hit.
Like my buddy Dan, he is so good at triangles and arm bars from guard. Like he's so good, and I mean, he actually pissed me off last week because he Kimura'd me, and I haven't been Kimura'd in like 8 years.
What's a Kimura?
That's like an arm lock like this that makes you feel super emasculated, and I fucking hate it.
He
like winched my arm, and I haven't been Kimura'd in years, dude. And then I was like, all week I was like, damn, Dan got me in a Kimura.
Thinking about it,
I was like, I can't wait till tomorrow.
What's one piece of advice you'd give somebody if they want to start kickboxing or jiu-jitsu?
Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it, because everybody gets paralyzed by fear, and they always say they want to wait till they get in shape to get in shape. Guess what? You can get in shape by doing it, and so just do it if it's something you've always wanted to do. That being said, do the beginners class. Go, at a good healthy pace. If you're over 30, I would not recommend doing it more than 3 times a week. If you're younger than 30, have fun till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, excellent, man. Well, I appreciate you, Avery, coming on the
Yeah,
show
dude,
and
awesome,
chopping it up
awesome
with us. I
chopping
feel
it.
like we got around to a lot of stuff today.
How long we been doing it?
We're at like an hour and 20ish, hour and a half. Yeah, hour and a half. Yeah, we're right there. So I appreciate you making the time. And this is kind of last minute that we've figured this out. So it worked out perfectly.
Perfect, man. It was in the stars.
Do you have anything else before we wrap then today that you'd like to get off your chest or let the people know before?
No. Hey, if you're going through anything, quit doing whatever you're doing that is continuing this circle. Even though it is easier and it's a cycle, it is killing you and killing your soul. So like for me, it was doing something crazy hard. I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that. That's just what gets my dick hard spiritually. But like you don't need whatever it is though. Like quit doing whatever. All this instant gratification is not good for us. And I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Break the cycle.
Break the cycle.
Yeah.
Be good to each other. Quit objectifying each other. Bring romance back. Stop with the dating apps. Go out and meet people in real life.
These are good bits right here.
Yeah,
These are good
just
bits.
be with nature. Be a good person.
Roll around with your buddies.
Roll around with your buddies. Make eye contact with strangers.
Yes.
Everybody on the street has at least one fun story.
That's true. That's great, man. Well, I appreciate you making the time. I appreciate everybody that tuned in live, as well as people that are going to watch days after here on YouTube or over on Spotify. Also want to say a quick shout out to our patrons. Just put up on the screen right now if you guys are interested in getting behind the scenes access to extra videos, extra podcasts, as well as a series where I break down how I mix, master, write, record every single one of my songs. Go to patreon.com/Darren Rita and you can help support the channel for as little as $1. Also want to say a quick shout out to Alpine House 2 for sponsoring another episode of the show, and Impulse Cameras. Both of them are linked down below, as well as all of Avery's stuff. So make sure you guys check out Avery's Instagram is linked down below too. You can keep up to date. He's got some cool stuff coming up as well. So with that all being said, this has been the 332nd